my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today I'm going to be testing a recipe I found thanks to the YouTube algorithm for a chocolate jelly. Now let me tell you the title of this video that I saw. It says, "Do you have milk and chocolate? Delicious dessert. No flour, no oven, no gelatin." And then the thumbnail is this beautiful rectangular mold of chocolate. Enough said, enough said. It looks gorgeous, but will it taste good? And besides that, what are the ingredients that make this so that you don't need an oven, that you don't need any gelatin, and that you obviously just need some milk and chocolate? That's what we're going to find out today. That's what we're going to find out today. Today's recipe inspiration comes from the YouTube channel Schnelle Rezepte. I'll put the link down below, and we're going to be making this recipe. Now the trick to this recipe is this. Ta-da! And this is agar, agar. It's also known as carrageenan. It comes from Irish moss. Thanks to Alexis Nicole. Thank you for making that connection for me. I didn't realize that carrageenan comes from Irish moss. It's also known in Japanese as kantan, and it is an alternative to gelatin. It comes from seaweed and it jellies things. It's often used in desserts in Asia, and today we're going to be using it to solidify this chocolate jelly. Now this is similar to gelatin in the fact that it does do this solidification thing, but it actually sets up at a lower temperature, and it has a very different texture than gelatin. Gelatin has that familiar kind of jello-y, soft, bouncy kind of jiggly texture. I've found that agar has a firmer texture, almost kind of a brittle kind of bounce to it. I first experimented with this in my raindrop cake video. I'll put a link down below to that, a very old video, but I also learned that agar is not created equal. Different brands have different properties. This is Telephone brand. This comes from Thailand, and I found that it does solidify well, but it doesn't have the clear transparency of some of the agars that you can find in, say, Japan. For this case, I don't think it's going to matter. We just want this to solidify. It's going to be completely opaque because we're going to be flavoring this with tons of chocolate. So we're going to be using this today. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're gonna need is a saucepan. And we need this camera on. Okay, so in my saucepan, I'm going to add 400 milliliters of whole milk. That works out to be about 1.75 cups. I'll put a link down below to my website, which will include a printable version of this recipe and a handy dandy converter, depending on what kind of measurement units you prefer. So into the saucepan. Boop. I'm gonna add some flame now. We're going to add 100 grams of sugar and a pinch of salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, and dissolve that all together. Similar to gelatin, agar needs to be heated to be completely dissolved into whatever you are using as your liquid. So we're going to be heating this for that reason. It really needs to come to a full boil. So we're going to set that aside for just a moment. Next, we're going to mix up some chocolate. So I've got 30 grams of Dutch processed cocoa powder, and to that, we're going to add 100 milliliters of milk. And whisk that all together. This already smells fabulous. I have to say right off the top that I find the title of this video a bit misleading, or the title of the recipe inspiration video, because it says milk, chocolate, sort of implying that that's all you need to make this recipe. No, you also need something to solidify things, which is the agar. Okay, so we want to really whisk this together because the cocoa powder can be kind of lumpy. It smells like chocolate syrup. Schnelle Rezepte actually means quick recipes, I've found out. So this recipe does seem like it'll come together quickly. Now, I'm gonna bring back our hot milk and give that a good stir to make sure the sugar has dissolved. Now we're going to add this chocolate paste we just made. Give that a good mixy whoop whoop. All right. Make sure everything's cleaned up. I'm going to move some of this out of the way. Now we'll continue to heat this on medium-high heat. And I'm going to set that aside for just a moment so we can prepare our agar and our water. So here I have 20 milliliters of water and 10 grams of agar powder. I'm going to sprinkle that right over the top and give that a stir. Immediately it binds. Look at that. Okay. So we'll moisten that with a bit of water and we'll set that aside. Bring back our chocolate mixture, and now we're going to add 90 grams of dark chocolate. Whoa, very close to getting that on my shirt. And then we are going to dissolve and melt that chocolate into the milk. So far it looks like just a very decadent, rich hot chocolate, right? I think this would be delicious just as it is, right? And because that milk is hot, our chocolate is melting pretty readily. But to ensure that it's incorporated, I'm going to use my whisk. Okay, and I don't feel any lumps. Feels good. Don't feel any sugar. Now we are going to add the agar powder that we added with the water. And this really needs heat to dissolve, so add this in. Now we want to bring this to a full boil to ensure that the seaweed has melted. Now the interesting thing, one of the interesting things I find about agar is that it sets up at a lower temperature than gelatin. So if you're making a jello mold, you really have to refrigerate it and have it completely cool before you get that full set. Agar, on the other hand, does not. I find that it actually sets up at room temperature, depending on how cold it is in your room. So we're going to bring this beautiful concoction up to a boil. That's pretty much it. This is really quick and easy. I'm saying that as if we've succeeded, which we have not yet, so I should not laud it yet. It is already thickening. I see a little chunk. I'm going to remove that. Not sure. Oh yeah, that looks like that's agar jelly. So it's coming to a boil, as you can see. A gentle boil. And we'll boil this for a couple minutes just to ensure that the agar has a chance to dissolve. Reduce the temperature just a little. Just get this to a simmer. Okay, I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes. Ooh, I want you to see this. It looks volcanic. It looks beautiful. Look at that. Alrighty, so this has been just simmering very lightly for 2 minutes, and I've turned off the heat, and now I'm going to add some vanilla paste. This stuff right here. You can add about 1/2 teaspoon. If you don't have vanilla paste, you can substitute vanilla extract. Just for a little extra, you know? Pretty tasty, pretty tasty. Mix that in, and already it has a thick texture to it, almost like a chocolate sauce. So make sure that vanilla gets incorporated, and we'll set this aside for just a minute. Next, we're going to take a milk carton. This is a 1 quart milk carton, and we're going to use this as our mold. So just going to lop the top off, take a little snip, and just cut this part off. I'm just going to dry this. I already rinsed it out, but I want to make sure that it's dry so it doesn't, you know, affect my jelly. Okay, there it is. Now we've got our empty milk container here, and make sure this is nice and square. Okay. Give the hot jelly a stir. Make sure everything is incorporated. And now we're going to pour this into the mold. Oof. All Alrighty, there it is. I'm gonna give this a little tap, break any air bubbles on top. Now we're going to let this cool, and then once it's at room temperature, place it in the refrigerator and allow it to cool for 2 to 3 hours until it's completely firm. And at that point, we will unmold this and slice it and see just how good this chocolate dessert is. It certainly was easy to make, that's for sure. But will it taste good? We'll find out. Alrighty, see you in a little bit. Alrighty, my lovelies, I am back. My chocolate jelly has been refrigerating for a couple hours now, and we are ready to unmold it. Now, I've had some famous difficulties when it comes to unmolding things, but luckily this mold we're going to cut away, so it shouldn't be an issue as long as it doesn't stick to the side walls. Hopefully I haven't jinxed myself, but here we go. So, I'm going to squeeze the sides. There's the jelly. I'm going to squeeze the sides to kind of loosen things. Oh yes. Oh good. It is coming away beautifully. Can you see that? Yeah. I'm going to do that for all 4 sides. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to grab some scissors. And I'm just going to cut this away. Or tear it away. Or something. Don't want to damage the jelly inside, so let's just tear it apart if we can. Oh yeah, look how shiny it is. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to do this carefully because I do not want to mar the surface of the jelly. Okay. Okay, release that corner. Now we can just pull the sides down. Okay, here we go. So far, so good. And then I'm going to place it onto my dish here. There we have it. I'm going to put it on this side. This is the perfect side. Looks pretty good. Dun 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 dun! The chocolate jelly. Look. It looks pretty good. Look at that. Shiny, glossy. Whoa, that side's not as glossy. That side? Yeah. So our jelly is unmolded. Now I'm going to dust the top of it with a little bit of cocoa powder. Here we go. Oh yes, look how velvety it looks. We're going to take some desiccated coconut, unsweetened, these little flakes here. And I'm going to sprinkle a little trail right on the top. Boop, boop, boop. Just for a little contrast. Okay. Let's clean up our area here. Where's my towel? All right. Clean up our mess. Look at that. Nice. So all of this has come down for this moment. This is what captivated me when I saw the original video. It's this slicing shot, the slicing of the chocolate jelly. So let's go ahead and do this. It's much firmer than I expected it to be. There we go. That's more like it. And one more slice. Alrighty, my lovelies, here we are, the chocolate jelly. I'm overall pretty pleased with how this turned out. I did have a couple dark specks in there. I think it was a little bit inconsistent when it came to my whisking, but not too bad. And yeah, overall it looks pretty good. But how does it taste? Let's find out. I'm going to grab a slab right here. Doop. Alone, it doesn't look all that appetizing, right? Looks like some sort of cutlet or something. It's pretty firm in texture. Let's see how it tastes. Here we go. Itadakimasu. It actually tastes pretty good. Milky, really nice, deep, dark chocolate flavor to it. The texture's a little bit strange. It has the classic texture of agar-agar though, kind of a firm, jellied texture, but much firmer than a Jell-O. Almost kind of brittle when you bite into it. It kind of collapses in your mouth, but not in a bouncy fashion, just kind of a firm texture. Not unpleasant in terms of texture, just takes some getting used to. I usually associate that agar-agar texture with desserts that are usually flavored with coconut. So this changes my expectations in terms of having it with dark chocolate instead. It's not unpleasant, it's just unexpected. I really like the level of sweetness in here. I think it's just right. It allows the chocolate, the dark chocolate, to really shine through. And it's actually a very nice dessert. I think it would pair really nicely with a little dollop of whipped cream. So I guess one way to describe the texture, rather than having a very smooth kind of jello-y texture, this is firmer and it's slightly mealy. It kind of has the consistency of polenta. That's what it's like. Yes, yes, yes. Cold polenta that's flavored with milk dark chocolate. It's good. I do feel like it needs some sort of textural foil. Maybe a cookie crumb on the bottom, or some sort of a crunchy tuile cookie or something to kind of mix up the textures, I think would be an improvement, or just a good dollop of whipped cream. So there you have it, my lovelies. There is the chocolate jelly. The recipe absolutely works. And I do find the title to be a little bit misleading because it says just milk and chocolate. You do need some agar-agar powder, which I think can be a bit challenging for people to find. You can find it in Southeast Asian grocery stores where I found it. And when I find it, I usually buy several packs so I can do recipes like this. I love desserts with agar-agar, especially when they have coconut in them. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks as always for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Check out my website. I will include a printable version of this recipe with full instructions. And like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Have I ever shown you this shirt? This is my type of whale shirts. I don't know if you can read the fine print, but there are different types of whales, like the big whale, the case of the Monday's whale, and just a wee whale. I think that one would be